Wow, we're in a time warp today, Blake. Blake and I was just looking at the clock. It was like 7 minutes we had on the clock before the show started, and we started talking. And I got a link for everybody. I can't, I can't share it like on one level. I can't play it, but this is just something to Canada. I love this country. Ladies and gentlemen, Political Nooner. I'm Rachel Scos. This is my buddy Blake. A couple of right-wing pundits. We're right-wing pundits. Bop, bop. A couple of Christian people. And we love Jesus. And we love Canada, the old-timey Canada. We're not really keen on the new thing. And we love the United States of America. We love England. We love Scotland. We love Ireland, Wales, all that. It's a Western culture, right? We love all that. Art and the values, Western values, all this sort of thing. And we're not really keen on Islam. We're not keen on, liberalism and all the policies causing trouble. Big shout out to Tamara Lich, the incredible, the wonderful Tamara Lich, leader of the Canadian convoy, who has been targeted, persecuted, and set apart. Her and a very small cadre of other individuals who did nothing wrong, but stood up for their rights and opposed draconian measures by the government, which was already supported by the Supreme Court, suggesting that the measures taken against them were oppressive, heavy-handed, and dictatorial and wrong on any metric. The dear lady, has already suffered persecution. She's Métis background, such as I am, and we're both proudly so. But Blake, this is the clip I just played before you, and I can't show it to you kids. I just can't. So what I can do is just put out. It's just simply called pooping, but it shows a customer, quote customer, in a Starbucks somewhere in Canada, and he's pooping himself. He's having a little poo-poo pants session, and the little poo-poos is dropping from his rump. And it's just poo-poo. Blake, thoughts on that video, if anything? I mean, is this just what do we call that? Is it marginalized? Is it a one-off? Is it, out there? It doesn't.
I call it. It's called cultural enrichment.
Wow.
In Canada.
I've never seen anything like it. I mean, this is social media, for you. The kind of shit, pardon the pun, that you're exposed to. But I won't play it because of YouTube, but it's there for you. But please don't be eating when you watch it. It's pretty disgusting.
I mean, it'd be the one thing about these videos is that you're getting a snippet. It would be kind of good to see the whole thing from the beginning. I mean, who knows? The guy, I've seen this happen in public before.
Have you?
Yeah, not from cultural enrichment.
Yeah.
But just people who, like an elderly person or something like that, can't get to the bathroom on time.
Yeah, that's different.
That's kind of, and maybe that's what was happening.
I don't think so,
but I have to hear the whole video from the beginning to the end.
I just can't give the person benefit of doubt. They're so comfy just sitting down there having a little poop.
Yeah, exactly. And and that's the thing. It's most likely making the assumption that this is the problem what Canada faces when you're bringing in so many people who don't share the values of your country, and that's happening in the Western world everywhere. And this has been a complaint. Let's call it. I mean, you could call it Poopgate, because in Canada we've got a problem where there's been a mass migration of third world people. In the millions in Canada. And just face it, America, just imagine about 15% of your population just got imported in over 3 years.
Yeah.
That's the equivalency of what's happened in Canada. And they're having problems in
sometimes it's too much poo-poo.
Well, they've got problems in parks where people are just going to we're not talking taking a leak. We're talking going poop. Right on the beach, like cats, and digging it into the sand, right? And that's kind of what they're used to doing in their home country. You just kind of go where you want to. And this is not just there. It's garbage, too. Garbage, we're seeing a massive increase
those videos
of garbage being dumped in the wilderness, in our local parks. And this is what you see in those third world countries. And this is the problem when you don't give time for people. You over migrate to the point it becomes overwhelming. That you're bringing people in on cheap labor contracts.
Yeah.
They're working for next to nothing. They don't hold any value to where they are. So they don't hold up and say, I'm moving here because I want to be here. They're coming here because somebody has marketed them to come here to work for them in a contract on a temporary visas, to be driving trucks or working at 7-Eleven, et cetera, et cetera. And then their visas expire and they ship them home and bring the next group over.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. So these people don't have any citizenship structure in the sense that they're coming to the country to be part of our country.
They aren't internalizing any of the traditional values that made the country.
That's why you see these videos, that one down in Florida where the guy does a U-turn in a semi-trailer and has no expression, murdering 3 people in a car, doing a completely illegal maneuver. And the guy next to him is texting and they're acting like nothing happened.
Okay, well, hold on. I wouldn't call it murder. I wouldn't, because the murder premeditated, it's just stupidity. Yeah. It's manslaughter.
Yeah.
It's manslaughter. It's unintentional. He doesn't want to kill the people. It's just that he's not recognizing that on a highway, breaking the law of doing that U-turn on it in the kind of rig he's got is very dangerous.
Well, it sounds like Trump's doing something about it. He's got the whole team now pulling all their licenses and restricting them from driving in the US, which will impact Canada as well. But this is the whole point. The melting pot has been tossed aside where people have a chance to be part of the culture and become citizens within it by merging into it, not by just a block dump of people who basically haven't had an opportunity to merge in with the local population.
There is so much I cannot play on YouTube, like stuff that I'd like to show because of, stringent guidelines and violence or whatever they consider, which is immature and it's stupid because, this, for example, our channel is an adult channel. We're dealing with adult themes, political, real world situation. So it's not for little Johnny or little Betty to watch, it's for the adults in the room. I'm going to bring this because this story has gone viral, basically, talking about, the situation with immigration and the like. This is a great thread on the situation that came out of Scotland in Dundee, Scotland. And this little girl here, she's 14 years old, brandishing an axe and a knife. Even that makes me a little skitterish on the old, whatever you call YouTube. But there it is. This is from the account called Amuse. This is a very long article. Sophie of Dundee, a 14-year-old girl, exposes Britain's broken promise to protect its children. Gone viral. And I'll just read some of this. August 23rd, 25. On Saturday, 7:40 p.m., Dundee, Scotland, 14-year-old girl reportedly named Sophie Sommers, I believe the last name is Sommers, Sophie Sommers, was filmed standing between her 12-year-old sister and 2 adult men described as Islamic migrants who had been harassing them. The footage shows Sophie shouting, "Don't touch my little sister. She's 12," as she brandishes a knife and a small hatchet. To some, this was a shocking display of juvenile delinquency. To others, it was a symbol of a society that has so thoroughly abandoned its own daughters and children, they now believe they must arm themselves in order to be safe. And this kind of iconography has gone viral, this symbol of the axe and the knife. And there's a million things going with that. Now, young Sophie, for her part, got herself arrested for brandishing those weapons. Of course, England with its, don't have knives, don't have guns, don't have swords, don't have anything to protect yourself. And here's 2 little girls out, what they're doing out at 7:00 at night. That can be another question. Where's mom? Where's dad? That's another question. But the point is that clearly there is some concern, considering the fact that things have gotten a little rapey over there. And I have no problem saying that. A new report, there is something like 87,000 87,000. The numbers are astronomical in sexual assault in England right now, and it's overrepresented with the newcomer brigade and all that sort of thing. You can research that. I don't have to preach that. You can do your research yourself on that.
I think Elon posted the stats that about that, what's happened from 2000 to 2025, and it's like astronomical.
Just got back from the supermarket. This is in England. This is Manchester specifically. Ford Egos. There were 3 different languages in the aisles and 2 more in the till queue. Statistically, it's nothing by U.S. demographics. But in England, it's a massive shift of what they're seeing in the population. Again, England, a very small place. And so all sorts of craziness is going on. I wonder if I got this for you. There was another one. Yeah. Okay, here's another one for us, Blake. This is happening in Canada, this next story. And again, it's going to be a lot on immigration today. We're titling the topic here, China, because Trump has announced, and we'll play that clip for you a little later, but Trump has announced, hey, he's willing to bring in 600,000 Chinese students into America. This is insanity. People on the left say, oh, you never criticized Trump. Well, I'm here to criticize him. If he's serious about this, he's got criticism coming for me. I love Trump. I'm his biggest supporter. I love him. I got that, I got my hats, my Trumpy Bear hats. Hold on. That's the one I like. It's got the hair. Trump 2024. And then we got, let's make America great. So I love my Trumpy Bear. But, this idea, I love him because of his position on things like immigration. But I'm going to show this to you, Blake. So, we're used to seeing the immigration, the migration, et cetera, occurring in the big city centers, and there's trouble. Crime statistics go up with newcomers. It's not based on race. It's not based on anything. It's just based on the history of newcomers. You can go to Chicago with the Italian immigrants and the mafia and the mob and the crime. And then you can go into New York with the Irish. We'll take the Chinese and the black people, but we don't want the Irish. The paraphrase from the old, Blazing Saddles. Yeah. But, and of course, I didn't quote it the way they do. That's the trouble with, self-censorship. That's me self-censoring because I'm on this platform. But the original is funny as hell.
It was.
Anyway, let's share the click. And so, we're used to the migration or immigration occurring in the big centers. But look at this. We'll make that big. Okay, here are 14 communities taking part in what's called the Rural Community Immigration Pilot, Rural Community Immigration Pilot Program. The RCIP is a federal immigration pilot program to increase immigration to rural Canada. So in Pictou County in Nova Scotia, anybody know Nova Scotia is not the biggest real estate in the country. They're going there, North Bay, Ontario, North Bay, holy crap, North Bay, Sudbury, Timmins, Ontario, Sault Ste. Marie, the Soo, Thunder Bay, and Port William, Fort William, Port Arthur, Steinbach, Manitoba, Altona and Rhineland in Manitoba, Brandon, Manitoba, Moose Jaw, my dad's hometown in Saskatchewan, Claresholm, Alberta, West Kootenay in British Columbia, North Okanagan, Shuswap, and Peace Laird. These are rural experimental communities where they're rolling immigrants into to see what the population is going to be like.
Well, one of the things I'll note on that is West Kootenay. I know some of the community colleges have been using foreign students to be able to, because they pay full pop, right? They pay an extra rate than what Canadians pay for it. So this is how they survive. Why the universities get overwhelmed with international students is because they need the money. Yeah. And they use that as a cash cow. So I wonder if you went through the list, how many of those have a community college there? They're bringing people in. But I can say this by experience because I've just traveled through the interior. I've done it through the interior of British Columbia, that you are seeing a demographic shift in those areas, like a push to get the newly arrived into those areas.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of work for them in those areas. So I'm not sure what they're expecting them to do unless they're just paying them to sit there and get a place because it's cheap real estate. And that's probably part of it, that it's cheaper to house them there on what's the equivalent of refugee welfare checks.
Yeah.
And then trying to put them in a house in Toronto or Vancouver or Montreal where it's going to cost them 5-6 times that rate to house them and feed them. It's much cheaper to be in those areas. So no doubt that the government in their infinite wisdom is thinking, oh, we'll just move them into rural areas. Well, there's no work, right, in a lot of those rural areas. Unless you're a farmer, unless you're a rancher or work in forestry or resource extraction of some kind, there isn't a lot of work. So those people struggle. And but we saw this when you were with me up in Yale, right? All the motels were run by Koreans, just about all of them. Yeah. And we saw this wave of where they get into this cycle, and then they get involved in the community, told this is where you need to be, and then they resell the motel back to a Korean back at home, and they keep into this cycle, and whatever business it might be in these rural communities, saying, "Oh, it's a great opportunity."
Yeah, the main drag on Yale, British Columbia, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, it's like 3 buildings. There's nothing. It's a very, very small, widely spread out. You've got the mighty beautiful Fraser River going there. And boy, oh boy, I got to tell you, a reminder for people, we call this thing Ghost Town Politics, the name of the channel, because Blake is really, truly an expert on ghost towns. Travel all over the U.S., all over Canada. He knows Western Canada, primarily Western United States, for the most part, to the best of my knowledge. Blake can correct me. But he's been to Tombstone many times and other little places you may never have heard of, folks, but people in the know. And Blake, tell me again, you've got astounding numbers in terms of people following you on the Facebook platform, in terms of your ghost town presence, footprint there.
Yeah, we got a couple groups. One of them, Ghost Town, Gold Trails and Ghost Towns, which is primarily British Columbia, but it's expanded to cover all Western U.S. and Canada. Yeah. History of ghost towns, mining camps, et cetera, et cetera. You got 130,000 people on there now.
Wow.
We've got I've got one in Nevada called Nevada Ghost Towns and Historic Sites, and there's 60,000 there. Plus, I've got a Facebook page for Nevada Ghost Towns and Historic Sites. It's got roughly 60,000 people following and like that page as well.
Have you ever thought of doing a book on that? Or have you done a book? Maybe I'm not aware.
I've been offered a few things, but to be quite honest, the publishing world, unless you're selling to the pop culture masses, there's no money in book writing. It would be more for an ego but
like a vanity project,
or something to do when I'm retired. Quite frankly, I thought about then when you got time to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, essentially, getting back to the story at hand, this rural migration. I think it's the government's idea to move people into cheaper areas, cheaper housing. We saw this in Hope, where I used to live while working in Yale, where the government decided in their infinite wisdom that to move all their hardcore welfare cases to Hope back in the late 1990s. Of course, it was an NDP government at that time, just like we have now. So what happened to Hope during that period? It went from a nice town to 20-25% unemployment rate, meth labs, meth addicts, drugs rampant, students being teenagers were getting addicted. It turned into a hellhole for a while. As a matter of fact, they did a documentary about it. This is what happens when governments try to force housing and bulk housing of people into smaller rural communities. They just don't have the population to adapt those people in. They just can't merge in. So this is just going to be another disaster. And those people locally are going to get impacted because what comes with it is drugs, crime, because there is no work.
That's the problem. That's the problem. No tie to community, no tie to community standards or values or anything. I mean, this is absolutely an alien culture coming in with third world, literally third world values, and they are a lot different. People are talking. One post went today. Just man, you can't even talk about it here on YouTube. But just some of the customs, right hand, left hand. I leave it to your imagination what can go on.
Watch the hand you shake, right?
Yeah. And folks, if you're in a charitable mood, I do have a Patreon going, and also you can buy me a coffee at rachelscoast.com. And I think I've changed it to eggs. I did a thing on eggs. You'll buy me an egg. But anyway, whatever you want to do, buy me a coffee, throw in, you can donate and support the channel financially that way. We appreciate it. A million stories going on, but I like this comment. I hope Trump's just deal making with this. Yeah, and he talked about it in the context of of a deal make, because he's talking with President Xi of China, and he says we're getting along great. And so it came out pretty quickly. He threw out that number. And there are a lot of people looking in. So I hope, because you're absolutely right, there's no way the base are going to let that fly. We will oppose him to every extent possible. Nobody wants to see that happening in America, regardless of the impact on schools or the economy. Trump is a businessman, but he's also a patriot. So let's hope that patriot part of him outweighs the other thing, because so much good is coming out of this administration.
Well, and that's a problem, is the Chinese students are a cash cow for the universities. Yeah, that's where they're making their money. And it's the same thing in the US as it is in Canada and the Western world. The Chinese send their students over and they pay huge dollars to do that. So you've got a lot of dependent professors with probably what they should think about doing is cutting back a bunch of useless courses that don't contribute to society. That's what universities need to do.
Yeah, well, let's
clean that side up, because a lot of these parents, from what I understand from China, is that the Ivy League students is where a lot of the students go that come from families that have Ivy League level students, right, or kids. But what happens is a lot of the Chinese families who are fairly wealthy, because you have to be pretty wealthy to send them to Vancouver, San Francisco, or whatever, Stanford, they're going to go to. But a lot of the ones are being sent over to the medium, I would call the less, not the non-Ivy League schools, are sending over their kids that are troublesome, right? That's the problem. They're sending over kids that are subpar.
Yeah, they're not sending our best. Yeah,
they're not sending the best. They're troublemakers at home. The parents kick them out and say it's kind of like the trust kid, right? Let's go hide them somewhere for a while because they're embarrassing the family. They get sent to America or Canada. They go to a mid-level university or college. They hang out there for 4 years. The dad will buy them like a sports car and all kinds of stuff because they got money just to keep them busy. And what ends up happening is that in a lot of cases it become trouble for the law, like high-speed racing and their little car. I don't know what you call them, rice rockets. I don't know if you're allowed to say it. Little high-speed motorcycles and all the fast ones, the high-performance cars that are like $200,000, $300,000. Well, anyways, Vancouver had that problem. They're wiping out all over the place. They're speeding. They're putting lives in danger. And partying and drugs and all that kind of stuff, because they've literally been abandoned here. So hopefully Trump is understanding it's not just a dollar figure, that these students do have an impact.
You're saying there's a social cost that comes with this as well.
Depending on where they're going, right? If they're just being dumped here because the parents just want them out of their hair. I mean, people jokingly, my wife lived in Hawaii for 4 years. A lot of those California wealthy families would get rid of their troublesome teenagers and young adults that just won't leave home or get their lives going, set them up as trust kids and dump them in Hawaii, right? Oh, here's a condo. Just go live there,
Go surf.
Yeah, don't embarrass us at home any further. We'll put you way over there. And they would just dump them into those markets. So that's kind of what happens in a lot of that side of things. But the other side of the coin is Canada had this argument. I'm sure the Americans are having this argument, is that the local students should have first crack. They should be filled. It shouldn't be based on a monetary policy that, hey, the Chinese are going to pay 3-4 times the value. and it's purely money, when you've got Americans or Canadians that need to be able to go to university, and they're being left out because of the dollar figure tied to the international students.
Well, I think there's value in post-secondary education. I have a post-secondary degree myself, but the point is that at the end of the day, don't expect a job from it. It became a cliche. How many master's degrees or PhDs in English literature are driving cabs for a living?
That's right.
And I've met some of these people, highly intelligent. They're talking to guys. So, what do you do? Oh, I'm working on my master's. I just got my master's, but there's no work, so I'm here driving cabs to make my nickel, and that's a problem. So the universities get a lot of money through publishing. They get a lot of grants. They're big funding cesspools. They're kind of money laundering outfits with the false hope. In the old days, it used to be, if you have a degree, you got a job. Guaranteed. Get your degree, you'll get a job, because people are looking for degree holders. But then when they cheapen the degree, everybody can get one kind of thing, then everybody's got one. Most people probably have a degree of one sort or the other. They no longer have the status that they once did. And there's certainly no guarantee that your women's study diploma is going to provide you gainful employment following your graduation ceremony.
Well, and I think that's where the universities went sideways, is when the boomers became so numerically large to reduce the competition in the workforce. They made these artificial levels that you would need to get. So in 1950, to work for the government, for example, you get a government job, a grade 10 education will get you in the door. And then all of a sudden, by the 1980s, you needed at least one post-secondary degree, right, to get in the door for the same role, the same role. And that's just because population-wise, there was a huge block of people competing for this job. They said, well, let's just raise the bar. Because I know my mother worked for the government. She told me she was on a hiring committee. And these guys sitting in that, and this is in the 1980s, these guys are in like their 50s back then, and a hiring committee came in the 1950s. And we're telling people they need these degrees. And she said, she turned and talked to them and said, none of us have what you're asking these people to have. Right. So you're right. Like these degrees became cheapened only as a barrier to limit who's coming in to get those jobs. So the universities learned, hey, we can churn them out, get them through quickly, give them those crackerjack box type degrees so they can at least get a job.
Yeah. And meanwhile, tuition was going up and up and up, and there's no outcome. And so now we get loan defaulting. And that's when Biden came out. Yeah, you're all going to be forgiven, children, for all your loans. And Trump said, well, that's not constitutional, so let's end that. Another big story that we're following, it's not maybe the biggest story in the world, but I'm going to show you this one. It's a good little post on this. It's all about Trump has just signed. Now, the Supreme Court has already ruled, I believe, on this, saying, it's a First Amendment right issue. About when it comes to burning flag, it's not a crime, or, you can do it. But regardless, and Wokeness here has the post. I want to make sure everybody can see it. Okay. You can burn any flag you want, quote unquote. 3 kids literally got charged with felonies for a few scooter marks on an LGBTQ plus mural. So there's the kids whipping around. They're laying down some rubber. I don't think there's anything, they're just playing around.
Yeah,
right?
They're like skaters, right? Playing around on scooters.
And any kid wants to lay some rubber down. That's all part of the fun. If you can.
Those are rentals. Those electric scooters, those are the rental ones. So you do your app and you go on them.
Yeah. So the kids are playing around, and they get in trouble for laying down rubber. They actually get arrested for a charge for doing that. And so when it comes to the flag, even some people that are conservatives, there's this girl, I do follow her. She's a feminist. And so I call this my take on flag burning. And I'll share this one now, Blake. And then we'll go from here. Okay, so Amy Eileen Ham is the account. Now, she's a nurse. I believe she's in British Columbia. Have you heard about her? She got in trouble. She got fined, I think, $95,000, $85,000, some massive outrage. for saying, her gender speak about being a nurse. She got fired from being a nurse, and she got, she's been fined by the government $95,000 or something. Somebody can correct me who's following the story. But anyway, she's this nurse, right? Highly sanctioned. But she goes, Trump has totally lost the plot with his new executive order. He's criminalizing offending others and says that burning a flag equals violence. Get a grip, Trump. You sound woke. Desecrating it is, and this is where she goes, you sound woke. Here's the president's take on it. Desecrating it is uniquely offensive and provocative. I like that, uniquely offensive. It's a statement of contempt, hostility, and violence against our nation. Clearest possible expression of opposition to the political union that preserves our rights, liberty, and security. So you've got two worldviews in conflict. She says, you should be allowed to do it. You sound woke. I can't stand that. So my response, you sound woke. I come into the thing. Notice no Canadian flag in my profile. It's all American. You sound Canadian. You sound what? I go, you sound Canadian. The lack of patriotism by the political left, evidenced by desecrating U.S. symbolism and replacing it with soul-destroying crap, is part of the moral decay facing the nation. Trump's EO, executive order, is a targeted measure to bolster national pride and inhibit ongoing moral decay. There are lots of ways to protest without destroying the flag. And there's, they've got these horrific statues. And there's Thomas Jefferson being, President Jefferson taking a dunk in a river there. And I don't forget where they did this, Washington.
This was all during 2020 when we had the Summer of Love BLM riots.
Yeah. Right? And then, regardless, poor old Thomas Jefferson getting dunked down, and they throw him down, but they're going to erect this monstrosity. So, the point is taken that Trump's argument, I'm in complete sympathy with the president on this take, that there's lots of ways you can share your displeasure with the government, with the administration, without burning the American flag. Let's honor our flag. These traditional symbols of the nation, of its liberty and justice for all, should be honored and sacrosanct within our cultures. And that includes the Canadian flag. You don't trample it. You don't let it hit the ground. You fold it properly. You treat it with respect because of the freedom that traditionally our nations have granted us.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I mean, I understand where she's coming from a free speech aspect, but that is not the point. I think she's lost the point. The point is that the flag represents your freedom, your liberty, all that the republic stands, the Constitution, your rights are all based on what's built up. Now, there's better ways to protest. If you don't like the way your government is acting and you want to do something with the flag, you turn it upside down. That means you're in distress. You're in distress. That's all. It's not burning the flag. Yeah. Put it upside down. That's what everybody else does when they're not happy with their government. They think they're violating their rights or whatever. Just say, my flag is upside down because I think my country's in distress. That's what you do. But in this case, burning it is, and the people that are burning it, they're not there to preserve the union or preserve your country. No. They're trying to destroy it. They're trying to destroy all those hundreds of years of a liberal democracy rising from primarily European tyranny, because that's what it was. We had, the French Republic broke away from the monarchy. We've had nobles. You lived as serfs. You owned no property. You had no opportunities to move forward. You were stuck with this elite group of royals that basically managed your life. This is what you broke away from. This is where the Magna Carta came from. So if you want to burn it all, you're burning the Magna Carta, you're burning it all the way through all those rights and freedoms. So if you feel you're in distress, turn your flag upside down. Those people that are burning flags, they're actually burning what provides your freedom. That's what they're saying. And most of them are tied to some Marxist radical groups or, certain cultural groups around the world. I won't say religious wise, that hate what we stand for and will burn it. And I think of the Hamas supporters in Canada burning the Canadian flag on the steps of our of one of our government institutions in Vancouver. Same thing. They don't care.
Love this next comment. This comes courtesy of Tokyo Toilet Style. Tokyo Toilet Style writes, Rachel, you're a VC vinyl committee. I got, my beautiful speakers and all my records up here. I'm a big Beatles fan and love pop music, rock and roll, record collector, etc. Anyway, Rachel, you're a VC Nazi thug. Apparently I'm a Nazi. Horrible. Nothing but a gaslighting dictator. I'm a dictator. I'm a dictator. Spelling counts, retard. Thanks for coming along and playing the game. You have been added to my block list.
Rachel, stop forcing me to be here.
All right, yeah. Somebody crickets. He's just a little crazy. But anyway, apart from the nonsense. But here's the deal. Okay, so her argument is free speech. Then what's going on with the kids and being arrested for burning off the riding their little bicycle or the LGBTQ walkway or the little flag there that they had?
Well, let's look at it this way. That same person, I bet you, if somebody was burning a pride flag,
yes,
she would expect they're being charged for a hate crime.
No, but this is the thing. This is where it's an outlier. It's an outlier for her because generally conservative. She's against gender ideology. She's a nurse that's been fined by the British Columbia government. I believe it's the British Columbia government. I don't think it's the nurses union fined her. I'll do some more research on it. I know her. I follow her account. But she just, to me, had a wrong take on this because she misses the bigger picture of what that's really all about. It needs to remain sacrosanct for the reasons stated of honoring the Republic, as you say, freedom, liberty, justice, America, and the liberties we have are all entitled, are all ensconced within that symbol of our democracy, of our republic, if you're an American.
Well, I guess the question to those people who support it, what flag do you want flown? I mean, you want the Confederate flag to fly? Yeah. I mean, I think that's the question you need to ask these people that are burning flags and why they think it's their right to do it. I mean, again, you have a way to protest it. Turn your flag upside down, put it up, say, I'm in distress. I don't like my country right now.
Yeah, that's fair enough. You can do that. But the point is, have you ever burned a Canadian flag?
Never.
I don't think it would enter your consciousness to do so.
Well, I mean, I'm not a happy of the maple leaf. I'd like to go back to the old red ensign, but that was a liberal flag created by the Liberal Party to represent their colors. Yeah. It was a bit of a scam in Canada. It was created in the 1960s. It wasn't like it was a historical flag for Canada.
Remember that.
But I wouldn't burn it because it represents Canada as a nation now. So
you should be deported instantly for burning the country's flag. Well, if you're an American, that's where it's different, right? I mean, but there should be a fine, at least some sort of fine. Maybe not imprison. That may be a little too draconian. Let's say Trump says 1 year imprisonment. I don't say that, but certainly a fine that needs to be seen through, conviction to arrest, conviction, and fine. They need to go through with the fine for it. Okay, so just an interesting kind of story that's come out with this flag burning thing. Okay, we've done that. Okay, here we go. This is a story that's gained traction now. This is an old story, but because things are so inflamed with immigration in 2025, probably even more so than it was in 2017. But this story has gained some traction, Blake. And so we're going to share it here. And it's for Clyde Do Something writes, racial tension has never been worse in Canada. Punjabi rapper video trending in Canada where the rapper is depicted beating up white people while wearing a Home is Canada jacket. And I'm not going to play the video, but he's got the video for our collective. And there it is. Home is Canada, and there's the guy with a little Sikh type guy with his fist all wound up to take it to Whitey. And of course, the thing calls What the Hell. This video in its entirety is there, but basically it's a rap video. Home is Canada. This is a whole idea of replacement theory. And, we're mad as hell, say the Punjabis. We're not going to take it. We're going to fight back. Canada's our home now, bitch. We're taking over. But it's the whole idea is racial, just to single out one group over another group. I mean, can you imagine the outrage if a white person were to show some sort of violence on a person of color on YouTube? That channel would be taken down in very, very quickly. Very quickly. Thoughts?
Well, that's part of the whole woke culture. I mean, it was near its peak in the late 2016, 17, because Trump deranged syndrome was off the charts. And at that time, Trudeau had opened up the floodgates to wokeism as government policy in Canada. So, yeah, you're right. It's bang on. It's just another form of reverse discrimination that's tolerated. Quite frankly, I don't care. If he wants to put his video out and show that, and alternatively you do that with is what you explained, if it was put out, then you leave everybody alone. They're expressing their frustration through their art, if you want to call it art.
Yeah.
And let them do that, much like NWA used to put out videos about cops, right? That, about what was going on in, South Central Los Angeles for blacks during the 1980s and gangland and all that side. But yeah, there's definitely a double standard. It needs to be broken in Canada. Thankfully, U.S. is now at least 2 years, maybe even 5 years ahead of Canada, busting this stuff up. Canada might be a while before we catch up, but it's completely wrong. Now, most Sikhs are pretty peaceful. I've been around Sikhs my whole life. I'm sure you have as well. In Victoria, they've been around since the foundations of Vancouver Island. They were some of the earliest loggers here.
Yeah.
They were involved, and I find they're Sikhs, but it's the newcomers en masse that are having the problem. So, and there's a big problem. I don't know where that video was filmed, but Vancouver has a lot of gang activity between Sikhs and and Hindu and Asian triads.
Scorpions? Yeah,
the Red Scorpions, the United Nations gang, they called it, which was part of that big hit on the Hells Angels, killed a bunch of Hells Angels, which of course triggered even a greater war.
Gang war, yeah.
I think the video, if you watch it, may be tied to the bikers, because I think the guy's punching is part of a biker gang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think reminder, it's an older video, folks. It's
2017. I think he said it came out back then,
but it's gaining renewed traction, a renewed focus because
there's hypersensitivities on race right now, and because of immigration, which is, I think, rightfully on immigration needs to be controlled, but there is hyper sides of it. As I was saying, I watched a video when we were off live. I was talking about a video, if anybody has seen it. There's a Canadian trucker who is of Indian descent. He's born and raised here, and he's complaining about the problem, right? With mass immigration of Indian drivers who have no skills driving big trucks, basically being used as slave labor. And these trucking firms are getting away with it, and a lot of other companies too, factories, and making farmers
in North America, not just Canada, but America's got the same problem. Yeah. They're putting out immigration. ICE is going to be active apparently at truck weigh-in stations now.
Yeah.
So if they come driving through there, they're going to be papered. Show us your papers,
Well, and they have to be able to speak English, because you have to be able to communicate with the authorities when they're checking you out. And if you can't speak English, too bad. I mean, you're going to lose. Your truck's going to be left on the side of the road. This is going to affect a lot of the Canadian truckers, because the container ports, they're picking up in Vancouver and they're taking them south into the U.S. from there. And I think that's is going, or what they call the NAFTA highway, which is all the way to Winnipeg. They pick up from there and then they head south to Texas. So I think a lot of this is going to change, and it's going to change rapidly. If you can't drive anywhere because Trump's stopping you from driving because you don't have English, you don't have your proper licensing and paperwork, then you're done. They don't need you. So that might be a big thing where Canada might see a big shift of that Trump in a way is helping Canada and their immigration problem. So we'll see it'll be done by his force because that's where they're driving.
It's really interesting. I mean, Canada traditionally has never been a really interesting place. For the most of my life, Blake, politically, Canada, you could just snooze on Canada.
It's kind of agnostic in the world. It just kind of floats there, right?
Yeah, it's just Canada's doing the dead man float in the middle of the pool because, the stories would be, legislature, well, I'll tell you, so do the honorable member, and then they'll sit there.
And a few jabs back and forth through QP.
It's a complete snooze fest, but things have really picked up since we've gone to Satan to run the joint. Yeah. And now all hell's breaking loose, and Canada's becoming one of the most interesting places. And, it's kind of crazy, but that some of our stories that we follow actually tend to come out of Canada right now. A perfect example of, here's one of the great tensions in the left. If you're a leftist, this is a problem for you right now. It's not a problem for us on the right because we want to deal with both of you. But if you're on the left side of things, this is kind of ironic, unintentionally humorous. I mean, it's worlds in collision. Queers for Palestine, Rowan here with his blue check mark. Queers for Palestine commits a, quote, genocide by getting Capital Pride canceled in Ottawa. This is peak moron in woke Canada. So no pride in genocide. Stonewall was an intifada. All of us are none of us. So here come the Palestinian gays. Queers for Palestine. And so they shut down. There's the rest of the gays and LGBTQ plus over there. And it just became a cluster. So the whole parade had to be canceled because the Queers for Palestine said there's no gayness without love for Palestine.
It's funny, the people that are dressed in the, what do they call it? The all of them, for the most part, are not even Palestinians. They're white, liberal, far left lunatics with purple hair, blue hair, doing their little thing. Trans, I don't know what you call it, gender fluid. I don't even know what they are anymore.
Just trans.
And but the fact is that they're acting like little fascists. But it's funny is that here you see, pride versus against themselves.Ey're eating themselves now. This is where it's come to, that they're so divided, because that's what the left does. They like to organize people into little groups to organize alliances. That way they can be in charge, much like that's the Soviet way, a socialist Marxist philosophy is you break people into little groups so that you can control them. Divided, they fall, right? That's the point. And then you can organize it to the way you want it. And that's kind of what's happening here. But what's even more funny is some of the classic Canadian headlines from our legacy regime media, how they barely covered it, right? And that's the thing.
It was difficult for them because of the nature of it.
The headlines, right? How they headlined it, right? Protest blocks Pride Parade. That's kind of all it is. It wasn't like...
Well, they said, they framed it as a pro-Palestinian group coincides. The word they used was the big headline on CBC, coincided with the gay parade, and therefore, because it was coinciding, one had to shut down. But it wasn't coinciding.
Well, could you imagine the truckers? Well, if it was the truckers blocking that parade, what would have happened? They would have been arrested with police and police dogs and batons. So this became a very inconvenient truth for our legacy media, but it wasn't coinciding, it was actually targeted. And Palestinian Queers for Palestine actually canceled the parade. They canceled it. There was no marching. You can't do this. They ended up marching down to the Parliament buildings or something to do their statement against the government support or lack of activity perceived on the Palestinian situation by Canada. It's a clusterfuck, but it's ideologies in conflict where you're gay on one hand, but if you're queer for Palestine,
the Palestinians, for their part, aren't going to be really that receptive towards you. There's not a lot of gay rights in actual Palestine. You have to go to Israel for that. If you want a gay parade, they'll have one in Israel. I don't believe there's a Palestinian gay parade. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I'll look it up.
I doubt it. I highly doubt it that it would happen within the Palestinian territories unless it was for a propaganda shoot, right? But there might be Palestinian queers for Palestinian queers that are in Israel on that side, because there is Arabs that live in Israel.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a simple. Let's just do this. Okay. So I went. I spelled it wrong. Gaza is what I want here. Gaza gay parade. But anyway, is it legal to be gay in Gaza? And let's see. That's far too small for you kids to read. Let's trying up the ante. So the answer is, in Gaza, same-sex sexual activity is criminalized and carries a maximum penalty of 10 years imprisonment. So the straight and the quick answer on that is no. It's actually criminal. So are you going to have a pride parade in Gaza? The chances are no, because that would put you in the eye of the state and they'd arrest you for it.
Well, it's more that they'll be impacted by vigilante justice in their eyes, which is throwing people and stoning them off of roofs. And
that sounds intolerant. That's horribly intolerant. So yeah, I, as a person that's transgender, I'm that. So I would feel far more comfortable walking around in Israel than I would in Gaza. They'd probably, string me up there. I'd have, unless I wore my little thing out there, my burqa. So I got my hijab. That ain't good enough for you. You don't have to look. We need you in a bag. All right. I'll fix it up. So anyway, so the pride parade, but it really is interesting when you get these conflicting ideologies going against one another. Blake, we got some good news there. The Dems are in big trouble. We're going to end on these kind of stories because we got redistricting occurring. Texas it passed in the House, it passed in the Senate, it went back to the House, it passed the House, and it went to Governor Abbott desk, sitting there waiting for his signature, and then this is de facto over. It's in a law. And two of the thorns in our side, Jasmine Crockett and the other guy, Green, the guy with the cane that's always calling impeach Trump, impeach that idiot.
Yeah.
Both of them are losing their racially dictated jurisdictions. Couldn't be happier news for people on our side of the aisle. I'm thrilled with it. So come on, Greg Abbott, get on the thing and do the job. There's going to be 5 districts going to be redistricted, but there's going to be more problems too. Even CNN is talking about things. Holy shit, CNN just admitted Democrats lost 2 points. This is independent of the redistricting issue. But here you go. Democrats lose 2.1 million registered voters. MAGA gained 2.4. That's a deficit of 45,000. What is that? What's he saying?
4.5 million.
4.5 million voters? They have lost CNN. Okay, so it's in the millions here. Holy shit, we're in the millions, kids. So I'm going to play the clip, and we'll see how we get on with this. Let me make it a little smaller so it all fits in on the page. Okay, let's go.
0.4 million.
Stop it. You're getting ahead of yourselves. All right, let's give you a full.
In all 30 states.
Sorry, everybody. It is really mucking me around. There we go. Here we go.
In all 30 states that track party registration, we're putting on the screen the data. It shows altogether Democrats have lost 2.1 million voters. Republicans have gained 2.4 million. That's a deficit that you have of 4.5 million voters. In all 30 states that track party registration, we're putting on the screen the data. It shows altogether Democrats have lost 2.1 million voters. Republicans have gained 2.4 million. That's a deficit.
Look at this. New York Times analysis, this is CNN, finds Democrats are, quote, hemorrhaging voters. I'm so sorry, critics of the Ghost Town Politics program from the left, but you guys are hemorrhaging voters. You are a dwindling minority that don't represent anything. The hearts and minds of the American people belong to Donald John Trump. This is absolutely magical. This is incredible.
That you have of 4.5 million voters in all 30 states that track party registration. We're putting on the screen the data. It shows altogether Democrats have lost 2.1 million voters. Republicans have gained 2.4 million. That's a deficit that you have of 4.5 million voters.
All right, Blake. So what's accounting for this? Why are the Dems, apart from their horrific policies, but are people starting to see that Trump's policies are in fact working? We've got the National Guard in Washington. We know that it's going to be headed to Chicago, New York, possibly Los Angeles. Newsom's going to have a nightmare heart attack there. Go ahead. Tell me what's your take? Why are the Democrats hemorrhaging voters?
Well, number one, I think they stopped counting all the graveyard votes. So that might have been part of it. But the big hemorrhage, I think, for quite some time has been on the left. They have become the government party and essentially have focused on the government unions, government expansionism, the far left lunatics from the academia and universities. Yeah. And they let go of what was a big block of votes was the blue collar workers, union guys, truckers, Teamsters, all those guys. They let go under their climate science policies and the offloading or offshoring all those jobs to third world countries. And what is Trump doing? He's bringing them all home. He wants to rebuild the middle class. He wants good paying jobs in America. And workers are what decides votes, not far left lunatics, elites, or globalists sitting in their high standards deciding who wins or who loses.
Right now we seem to be winning on every front, Blake. On every front is just win after win after win. The redistricting, losing Jasmine Crockett. I can hardly wait to see her go. I can hardly wait to see this green idiot that's calling for the impeachment every 2 weeks of Trump to go away. And I just love it.
Well, I wonder when the time when Trump can declare America is great now rather than again. It is great now. And I think that will show, I think, by the next election, and I'm not talking about midterm elections, I'm talking about the next president, because if he's on the course he's on right now and he brings back millions of good paying jobs, manufacturing and in building and vehicle building, and the auto manufacturing explodes, everything starts to boom. People are building products, furniture. He's going after furniture now. Everything is going to be, he wants to see a reindustrialization of America for national security purposes. And it's working. He will, the Republicans or the MAGA voters will have power for decades. The Democrats will never gain that back because they decided to side with the Wall Street globalists who are moving all those jobs into China, all those jobs into Indonesia and the Philippines and everywhere where it's cheap labor, Vietnam, wherever they can use slave labor at the expense of the middle class, and people are sick of it. Trump's winning because he's winning by putting money in people's pockets and jobs. And that's where it's going to take a bit of time, but within 4 years, the next president who follows the values or the path that he laid, we like to call it, what do we call it in golfing terms? We saw his putt, you're going to come in behind him, will literally walk in behind him. They won't have to do a lot of work, but to maintain it. That's it. As Jefferson said, if you can keep this republic, you need to keep it, right? And that's literally what Trump should say to the next incoming president is, if you can keep it, just stay the course and make people happy, make them financially secure. You're never going to make the far left radicals happy. Ignore them, make them into a rump what they used to be before. Even Democrats used to not
well, the
placate
Democrats
to them 40
okay,
years
so,
ago.
Yeah, we're seeing the Democrats losing votes, as we just reported on that story. So, 4.5 million votes have shifted from Democrat to Republican. The differential is that the Republicans gained, the Democrats went down, and the differential comes out to a 4.5 gain for Republicans. Yeah. Glory to God, man. Glory to God. And here's the other thing. Trump is fighting against adding illegals into the census. That's not going to happen. And when that passes, and the Supreme Court will back him up, because it's stupid to count an illegal. On what planet are you counting people that are in your country illegally as people that are part of the American continuity? It makes no sense. Disregard them, count the American citizenry, and deport the illegals is a very simple equation. In doing so, the Republicans, people are saying that Republicans are guaranteed to hold the House, at least the House. I don't know about the Senate, but at least when it comes to Congress, they're going to hold that for the next 100 years. And that it's smooth sailing. Because of this coming up, there's no way they can lose, even with redistricting occurring in California. There's just no way. And that the most optimistic pronouncements are that even the Rust Belt, so these are where we get a lot of our battleground states, we can give the Dems all the Rust Belt and still win the Electoral College. So you expect a full court press by the Dems to try and get rid of the Electoral College, which they won't be able to do.
They won't be able to. No.
They won't be able to do. That's a guarantee.
I mean, let's face it, the Democrats' strongholds are being sandbagged right now so that they can't get any further from where they are now. They've retreated as far as they can go. Now Trump's doing the next step, which is cleaning up their cities where their block votes are. Yeah. Once he gains the support of the locals there and they start changing their city councils and breaking up the Democrat machines that have basically become one-party states, that's going to be even a further decline of what they are. They will lose relevancy at a rapid rate. It's already happening. They can't find themselves because, let's face it, they don't have a face that can lead them. They're trying to promote Newsom right now. Yeah, Newsom is going to be the savior in 2028. Newsom is sandbagged in California. He's not going anywhere. And the rest of the U.S. is not going to want to turn their states into California.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be too easy to disavow him by showing the state of California, with the break-ins and the robberies. You had a clip in Canada.
Oh, the burning of all the places are not able to build back after the fires in LA and, the 15-minute city crap and the insurance is skyrocketed there to the point you can't even get insurance. Mortgage crisis because of insurance. They've got all kinds of problems. Newsom is not going to be able to win. But the problem is, it's kind of like 2015 in Canada. But, when Harper was lost to Trudeau, you kind of got a shock. It's like there was no real reason for Harper to lose, right? But in the U.S. terms, there's really no reason for Trump or Trump's successor to lose unless that successor is a complete moron.
Yeah.
And let's hope.
Now, the smart money's on J.D. Vance. People like him. The base likes him. The MAGA like him. Most critically, MAGA likes J.D. I like J.D.
Yeah.
So I'm fully happy with, Trump's older. Let's get this young fighter in, J.D. Vance. I can only expect to see more of Trump-like policies carrying through. That's all I can. That's at this point. That's what I see.
Well, there is one other point I just kind of want to make before we go, because I know we're closing. But
I want to peanut actually, because we got some questions from the peanut gallery. So we're going to.
Okay, good. I've got some time to be after hours. So here, so in this case, I think the other big change that's impacting the Democrats is the people have become the media. That's the big difference. For the last decades and decades, we've been controlled by a media system that only allows a few to manage it. The big news, nobody Nobody's watching CNN anymore.
The
Nobody's watching
boomers
MSNBC.
are.
Nobody's watching NBC. Nobody's watching CBS. Nobody's reading the newspapers anymore. Where are they going? They're getting their information directly from the source, and then they're sharing it with their ideas on X and other platforms like YouTube or Rumble. And as long as those places stay, absolute freedom. And I think as long as Elon's in control, I believe Elon's going to allow the continuation of X to be the number one news source, because he said it. We are the news now, not these legacy news. So that's really impacted the Dems and those numbers, because they had almost a 100% outside of the controlled media with Fox.
Not only are we the news now, but we've been the news for a very long time. You know, back in the Trump's first administration, out on the channels, the 8chan channel out there, the proclamation was sent out by an individual there, and the comment was, "You are the news now. We are the news now." It's the democratization of information. It's an incredible thing. Let's go to England for a sec. Lucy Connolly, this is a young English woman. I believe she's a mom. She's got a mom. She's a kid. She was on Facebook or something, and she said, kind of, something bad about, wood chippers, or I don't know. It was violence against the newcomers. Lucy Connolly has met with Trump administration, not sure what level. As State Department officials, she's meeting with. She's also taken legal advice on suing the Metropolitan Police, which she should do. Starmer will be watching her, of course, and any USA correspondent. Starmer is under a pressure cooker. Elon Musk, as Blake was saying, has got his focus on England. He is posting a lot about England right now. They are fully in his gun sight, if you will. And he's also got legal representation there. He is moving actively in England to make a difference and liberty for the British, okay? And that little Scottish girl who we highlighted earlier in the program, she's become an icon, a rallying point, and Elon Musk is fully on board with her as well. Will Starmer accuse Lucy of treason? Sure, if he could get away with it, of course he would. If he could get away with it, he won't be able to get away with it. Somebody did a great meme from Airplane, when that guy is taken over, I forget the actor's name, he's funny, Airplane, the classic comedy. Yeah. And he's taken over the airplane and he's sweating, and the movie showed the buckets of sweat coming out. He's trying to wrestle this aircraft, bring it home safely with Julie Haggerty, lovely Julie Haggerty. Otto, the autopilot with the boob graphic. Yeah. But anyway, so, buckets of sweat. That's Starmer right now. He's under incredible pressure right now. Incredible pressure.
Yeah. He has America breathing down his neck right now, which is good.
Exactly. And powerful Americans in the form of Elon Musk, but also the State Department is aware of what's going on with Connolly. So this is wonderful. Is anyone worried about the state of affairs in the UK? Of course we are. I have a theory the king will become political to save the realm. There is no saving the realm. The realm is in the same state as Canada. It's bought out, it's sold. King Charles is all in with woke nonsense. King or Prince William, should he become king, has been infected with the woke mind virus, just like his father, just like his old man, and Prince Harry, the whole lot of them. It's time to end the monarchy. We got a figure in Canada called the Governor General, which is supposedly the figurehead, which nowadays, I think it's a female currently running the position. She's just a pawn that is meant to mimic and sign off on anything the Liberal current administration in Canada determines. So I don't think there's any salvation in the King of England. I think there's salvation in doing away with the monarchy. I think there's salvation in becoming a republic. I think there's salvation in establishing a constitution of the people, by the people, for the people.
Yeah,
that's where your hope lies. I am skeptical. I think as soon as the next Dim Turd is elected, they aren't going to be able to elect them. That's what we're saying. that Trump is securing the republic. The republic is being saved. As Blake quoted Benjamin
Jefferson.
Franklin.
Benjamin
The
Franklin,
republic is yours. The republic is yours if you can keep it. If you can keep freedom is yours if you can keep it. Midterm abs will be so savage. Democrats are going to wish Hunter Biden's laptop was still, yeah. And keep in mind, Trump's in control of the government right now. We just heard, and this is something I'm verboten to talk about, but 2020 came up as a discussion point in a White House meeting today. And it would turn to, I think it was Tulsi Gabbard. That was the person in question. She said it might be him or her. It might be one of his other chairs, secretaries that came out and said, I've got a lot of documentation. We're finding bags of it, okay, on 2020. So first comes Russia. It's dominoes, kids. That's going to fall. We saw the raid on John Bolton. There's going to be more raids. There's going to be more dominoes falling. The next one to fall is going to be 2020. Heads up. It's going to heat up January 6th. That's going to be in there. It is incredible.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, later today at 4:00 Pacific, I'm back again with my non-political show, my music show. Obviously, I talk a little politics on it, but that's not the main thrust of it. Rach, we need someone who can speak jive. I speak jive. Classic Barbara Billingsley, Leave It to Beaver's mom.
Yeah.
Hey, I just love that whole
That was a great section. Yep.
What a deal.
You ever been in a Turkish prison, Billy?
Oh, my God. So goes the Carnarvon Cup. It would always come to this from 69 onward. Carnarvon Cup, that's my little cup. I got a commemorative investiture for Prince Charles at the time. 1969, he became the Prince of Wales. Of course, the old deal with Edward I think it was Edward the First. Could be Edward the Third, but I think it's Edward the First, whose son, in order to appease these uppity Welshmen, and if anybody knows Welsh, they could be uppity. So they gave the first son of the king to represent the Welsh people so that they would have a voice and a status, especially in the realm. Anyway, Blake, thank you so much for being here. Give us a thumbs up, folks, and subscribe if you're new around here. And support the channel. I'll do the Patreon thing. Hang on one last little bit. Copy this in here. And we're going to be back Friday for you, Blake and I, with the next episode. We'll see what's going on. It's never a dull day around here. But there it is for $5 USD. We don't want any of that phony Canadian money. That ain't worth nothing. But a good greenback. We love it. We love $5 a month. You can join my Patreon. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, especially Blake, for helping out. Sue wasn't here today. She's out doing the grocery rounds. So we'll have her back on Friday. Okay. What? Wait, what? Where's your music channel? Hang on. I'll get the music channel for you. Copy. There you go. Hang on. Yeah. There's a documentary being done on me, by the way. That's happening. It's unbelievable.
Awesome.
Yeah, the documentary, and it's on my musical channel, but it's all about how I supported Trump during the by a liberal. I got a liberal director, so watch it with a grain of salt. But there is my channel, 4 Pacific. I'm on today, Down and Out National. So for 7:00 tonight your time, I'll be back online on that channel. Goes to, so you can support me over there. Everybody, God bless you all. And hey, Down and Out, you can come up and talk to me when I'm on that channel, because we'll talk some music and stuff. We can do that. All right. God bless everybody. God bless you all. And I'm thrilled today, Blake, Red Letter Day. Tamara Litch, leader, the voice, the face of the convoy, gave me a follow on the other platform, on the X platform. It's tickle the ego there a little bit. So
and love the photos you're posting. That was great.
Yeah, that's part of it. You show some of the, kind of the thing. One guy tried to get back at me. I did a post showing my heritage Métis and that my great-great-grandfather fought at Batoche. He goes, oh, yeah. Some guy goes in, yeah, with the traitors or with the crown? I go, no, my wife's great-great-grandfather was on the other side. Here's his Wikipedia page. Sue's great-great-grandfather was kind of a wheel to deal. he's a bit of a somebody in Canadian politics and Canadian history. So kind of neat to know. All right, Blake, bless you. Everybody, peace and love. Take care. We'll see you, the Music Kids, at 4 o'clock, and the rest of you on